Hi, it's Tammy with Shabby Fabrics. I wanted to bring you guys a fun Christmas project today, something that I just love to make. This project is the Merry Christmas. It's the Santa Claus pillow from Bare Roots. Barry Sue did this. I love her embroidery. She just does such a nice job. All the little touches that just make it so sweet. She has all the little embroidery on here. You can see the little snowflakes. There's even little beads on here. You can put beads on here. You could do French knots if you didn't want to do the beads. We do have kits available on this. They come with all the thread. This is our thread set here for your applique. And we do have the embroidery threads come like this to do all of your embroidery with. You get the beads, you get everything. So what I would like to do is sometimes machine applique can be a little bit intimidating, and we've had a lot of questions about when to use what stitches. So I would like to show you today how I would approach this project and do some machine applique with you. So let's put this aside. All right, so I have another pillow done here, and what we've done is we've just built the base, and then I've got all the shapes are appliqued down, or they're not appliqued, they're just fused down. So let's do some applique. So I would like to do, like on this house right here, I would do like a blanket stitch. I love the blanket stitch. It's one of my favorite stitches in doing machine applique. So I'm going to go to the machine. I'm going to talk to you about how we would actually set our machine up and how we would go about doing that stitch on here. All right, so here we are at the machine. So I am using an open toe foot so I can see where my machine is going to be making the stitches. So that's important. I have my tan thread in the top, and I have a tan thread in the bobbin, and I'm using 50 weight thread. That's what I have in top thread and in my bobbin thread. Both my bobbin thread and my top thread match. They're 50 weight, and I'm just using a top stitch needle. All right, so I have found a stitch on my machine, and it's a blanket stitch, and I'm just going to sew a little bit and show you what the stitch looks like. It's important to just find a piece of practice fabric. I'm going to do this on black fabric, so I think you can see it. All right, can you see that? Okay, so this stitch is actually pretty big. It's really long, the jump over is really long. I want to narrow that back a little bit because my shape is smaller. So I'm going to decrease my length and my width a little bit on this. Let's play with this a little bit here. Okay, now I think I'm going to also decrease the width of my stitch as well as my length. It's always important to practice. Oh, see, that's much better. I think that's the stitch I'm looking for. See how much narrower that is now? I like this stitch. So what I would do now is I would actually take in a little book that I keep next to my machine, and I would record the width and the length and the stitch number, so that the next time I go to do this type of applique, I just pull out my book and then I have my stitches right there. So I'm going to cut my thread and I'm going to grab my project. I'm going to show you how I would start this. All right, here we go. I'm going to grab my top thread and hang on to that because I don't want that to get tangled up. All right, so when I'm doing this, I want my needle to come down on the edge of my applique, and then when it swings over and takes that little bite, I want that swing onto my applique and back, and then it's going to take a stitch forward and go back again like this. That's your blanket stitch, just like that. All right, so let's do that here. I'm just going to drop my needle down one stitch. Perfect, that's exactly where I want it. I'm going to start right in that upper corner. So I'm going to take one stitch over and back again, one stitch, okay? Now I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to hit my back button. There we go. Now we're just going to keep on stitching all the way down. So what I'm watching here is I'm making sure that my needle is right on the edge of this fabric. I'm watching my stitch, and I'm paying attention to how this machine is stitching it. So it comes forward, jumps over, back, forward. You see that? That's important to know what it's doing and where it is in the stitch when you come up to a corner like this. Okay, so let's do the corner. I'm going to come up to my corner. Okay, I want to take now one stitch forward, like that. Now I'm going to turn this machine. I'm going to turn it. Now I'm going to take my side stitch is actually going to run right along the fabric, the edge of the fabric. See that? Perfect. Now I'm going to start coming down this edge right here. See there? So I didn't, I'm going to come up to my door here. So I'm going to actually reverse and tie this off. I'm going to pick this up and I'm just going to jump over. There we go. Okay, I'm going to start again. Now I'm going to do a back stitch again. There we go. All right, let's do another corner. Okay, so I'm straight in the corner right here. And you see that? I'll move the foot out of the way, so hopefully you guys can see that on the camera. So I'm right here in the very corner, and I know that I just came forward. The next thing this needle is going to do is it's going to go side to side. So I'm going to turn this all the way around so the side to side stitch actually goes along the bottom of my applique. Watch. See that? So it went along the bottom of the applique. Now I can just go ahead and continue right up the side. All right, so I'm at the end, and I am going to go ahead and do a little back stitch on this. Just like that. I'm going to cut my thread. There we go. So you can see at the bottom how clean that corner is. Both my corners are nice and clean. I just came up to it, and when I did the side swing on the machine, it actually went along this edge before it took off. And when I got to this one, it did the side swing this way, and then we took off straight down. All right. So on smaller shapes or shapes that have points on them, a lot of times I'll just do a straight stitch. So I would just do a straight stitch here on my little door. Let's do that really quick. I'm just going to use the same tan thread. Let me change my stitches now. You know what? In fact, we should probably take a look at our stitches. So let me actually stitch out just a straight stitch, because I know that your stitch, so you know what your straight stitch looks like. If that's too big, you can make your stitch a little bit smaller. Sometimes on smaller shapes, I try to make my stitches just a little bit smaller, not a lot smaller. You see the difference there? I like that better for going around tight corners. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do our little roof, or our door. I was going to do the door, I think. Okay. All right, so again, I'm going to hang on to my thread. Now on the door, I just want to come about 1/8 of an inch on the inside of this. So I'm watching on my foot, right here in the middle, it has a mark right in the center of the foot where my needle is going to come down. So I'm watching that. And actually, it's kind of nice that this door is actually a stripe. I'll just go back 1 stitch to secure that, because I can just run straight up that stripe. Take 1 more stitch. across the top, and then back down. And then across the bottom. Cute. All right, come back and cut our thread. There we go. I would do a straight stitch on my windows, my chimney, your door, or your roof here. Now I'm looking at Santa here, and I think it would be really cute to do a satin stitch. I love to do a satin stitch, so I'm going to change my thread out, and when I come back, we're going to play with a satin stitch, and I'll teach you that. Okay, so here we go. So to do a satin stitch, you're going to start with a zigzag stitch. So let's just see how the machine does a zigzag. Wow. That's just my regular zigzag. That's my normal setting on the machine. So now I'm going to start playing with it. And I'm going to definitely make this smaller. Okay, because I want the stitch much tighter together. Let's see where we're at. That's getting better. See how that's better, but it's still not quite where I want it. Let's go down a little bit more. Let's take a look at that. That's almost there. Let's go down a little bit more. All right, let's try that. There we go. So a little bit so you can see that. I like that much better. It's not, and you can see on here, it's not perfect. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not so tight together like it's an embroidery machine together, but I know that I'm going to be stitching on white fabric. So I know that the little black that you can see between the stitches is only because I'm on black fabric. I think that stitch will be all right. I don't want it to be so tight. If you get too tight on this stitch, your machine is not going to move. It'll gather up that stitch underneath your foot. You're not going to like it. So I tend to do this a little bit looser. I like that stitch. So I'm going to, and I like the width of it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to do this around Santa's hat here. I think it'd be really cute to put a satin stitch around his hat, kind of like it's furry or fuzzy. So I'm going to keep the center of my foot. This is going to be right where the edge of my applique is, so that my needle is going halfway on the, well, maybe let's move it over just a little bit. I want it to hit the red, but I want the stitch to be mostly on the applique. All right, so let's, and I'm not going to do a back stitch here, because doing a back stitch, I'm just going to overstitch it when I come up. All right. All right, so we're going to give it a start here. So I'm watching ahead of myself now, and I'm coming up on a curve, and I'm going to slow way down on a curve. I'm just going to take a couple stitches at a time, and now I'm going to stop. Now you can see I'm going to sew. If I keep on sewing straight, I'm going to sew right off of this thing. So I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to give it a couple more stitches. Come on, there we go. Stop on the outside. I'm going to turn it again. I'm going to come around. I want my stitches to be nice and smooth. So I'm just trying to turn it just a little bit at a time. I'm not turning it a lot. I'm just turning it slowly, small increments. I'm going to stop with my needle on the outside of the applique when I turn this. There we go. See how it's still in that corner? I'm going to turn it again. There we go. Cute. I like the way that looked. I'll go across this brim here. All right, so let's do another corner. So I'm slowing way down on this. I'm going to stop on the outside and I'm just going to turn it just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn my fabric a little bit again. And I'm just kind of turning my fabric as I go. But if the machine gets ahead of me, I need to stop and turn my fabric. I think the key to doing this is just keep your machine moving, but go very slowly on your corners. Stop, always stop with your needle on the outside of your applique or to your right. So I stop when it's on the outside edge, not on that inside edge. Again, I'm going to turn again. It's a pretty tight little corner. I'll just overstitch a little bit and backstitch a little bit. How cute is that? I love that. It just added so much texture to Santa's little hat. I think that's so cute. I love it. So you can play with that. You can do his mustache, his hat here, the little ball. If you do a circle, just again, you're just going to go very, very slowly, constantly turning your machine. Applique is so much fun, but it really does, it just takes time. So just play with it, have fun. I think this is great. Okay, so now let's take this over and talk about the embroidery part of this. Okay, so here I am back. We're going to use a Wafer 2 daylight box. I love these boxes. They're very light. They're LED lights. It'll go very, very bright. I have my pattern, and I'm going to show you how I got the Merry Christmas on here. And this is black fabric, so it's very difficult to see through. If you're trying to hold this up to a window or something like that, you could do that. I would tape the heck out of it if you're doing that. Just make sure your pattern is taped to the window. The project is completely taped to the window so that it doesn't move. Or you could use a light box, which is much easier. That's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to turn this light box on, and I have it on the brightest setting that it will give me. I'm going to center this for my applique. There we go. All right, I'm going to use a Sew Line pencil. These are amazing. It is a chalk pencil. It's white, and it shows up beautifully on black fabric. I love these pencils. All right, so we are just now, I can see this lettering, and I think we're going to zoom in with the camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to trace this Y. Going to give a cup, just going to run over that a couple of times with that. Just like this. And we just did a back stitch with this. Oh, this is so cute. We did a back stitch with the white thread, white embroidery floss, and then we did a little French knot at the top of these. That is so cute. To do a French knot at the very top and at the end when you start and stop your stitch. And I'm going to turn off the light box so that we can see. There we go. See how beautiful is that? You can really see your stitches to embroider. This is your embroidery floss that comes in your kit. You've got lots of white, you've got your green, your gold, your red, all the colors that you need to do this. And Barry does give you very good direction on how to do your embroidery, what stitches she's using. That's all included in the pattern. I hope you had fun and learned some new tips and tricks on how to do machine applique. We'll see you next time on another Shabby Fabrics video.